All right, and boom. What is up, everybody? It's me, Jrod, the filmmaker, former film major, frequent fighting gamer from Philadelphia, and welcome to 2025. It is a brand new year, and this is our first video of the year on the channel, which I'm very excited for because I want 2025 to be a huge year for this channel. My goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers this year. I have a bunch of video ideas and videos that I'm going to make. And I just wanted to be a great year for, growth and expansion on the channel. And if you do as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment on the video if you have anything to say. All of that helps with the channel growth. And specifically, if you could hit that subscribe button, it means a lot. More subscribers mean more people can get to see the video. Also, other engagement like commenting, hitting the notification bell, all of that kind of tells the algorithm that more people should see the video and gets it out there so that more people can see the video and I can get more views, which lead to more subscribers, which leads to more views. It's kind of a cycle like that. But we are here in 2025. That means 2024 is over. It was an interesting year. I don't know if I would say it was a good year or a bad year. It was literally just another year. There were good things that happened. There were bad things that happened. So at this point, it just is what it is. But we are now in 2025, and since we're at the beginning of 2025, it's the most optimistic part. We can sit here and we can look at each other and we can pretend that 2025 is going to be the best year ever and that everything that happens is going to be great. And while that's probably not going to be true, I mean, it's only the first day out here, so, we don't have any evidence to tell us otherwise. So now we are fully optimistic. We are very excited going into this new year. Nothing can stop us. And what a better time than on the first day of 2025. I am recording this on January 1st, New Year's Day, 2025. But what a better way to celebrate 2025 than by looking back at 2024. So this is going to be my wrap up of the year. Ufilmee Rewind, everything that I watched in 2024. I have been doing this video for a long time now, since 2020. All right, I did everything that I watched in 2020, everything that I watched in 2021, everything that I watched in 2022, 2023, and 2024. So you can check out those past Ufilmee Rewind videos and see what were my favorite things of the year, my least favorite things of the year. And I just love making these videos because I can keep track of everything that I'm watching over the year, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Also, it's just a really fun way to look at time. Whereas whenever I get to the end of the year and I start to put this list down on a spreadsheet and get ready to make this video, I always look back at the first few things that I watched this year, and it really makes the year feel like it's been long. Like some of the stuff that I watched back in January 2024, it's like, wow, I would have thought I watched that maybe a year or two ago, but really it was just at the beginning of the year. So we're going to get into it. If this is your first time checking this out, I'm going to just list every single thing that I've watched in 2024 and give a very brief, you could say a review, but it's really just going to be a quick 1 second of did I think it was good, did I think it was bad, should it come back, should it not. Just a very quick brief how I felt about that show or movie or video game. There are also video games on this list. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you guys what were my favorite things of the year, what were my least favorite things of the year, and basically wrap it up like that, and then get ready for next year's list, which honestly has already started. I'm already watching new TV shows. I've already had some stuff from 2024 that I didn't get to finish, so I'll be taking that over to 2025's list. And I already have some ideas of what's my favorite and least favorite, so the only thing to do is to get into it. So let's get into it. But I think without further ado, it is time to get into it. I've separated the stuff into a couple categories just to help keep it organized, and there's going to be TV shows, animated, documentary and reality TV, Marvel and DC, The Big Show, video games, and the final category is movies, full feature-length movies. So without further ado, I think you guys get the premise. We're going to get into it because it's going to be a long list, and I don't want to make the video too long. So starting with the uncategorized TV shows, I'm going to start off this list with the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action series on Netflix. We were waiting for this for a long time and we finally got it. And honestly, I don't have a negative opinion of this or a positive opinion. It's not as good as Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, but honestly, almost nothing is and can compare to that original show. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I'm very content with calling this mid. It was definitely there. But I am interested in what they're going to do with the future seasons. Then there was the Halo series that came back for its second season, second and final season on Paramount Plus. And this one, while Halo Season 2 is better than Halo Season 1, it's still not really that good. It never really felt like how the Halo games make me feel, and it was kind of like watching a Halo fan fiction. I didn't regret watching it, but I didn't enjoy watching it either. Then there was the series Blood and Water on Netflix that came back for another season. This is a really fun show to watch. It has a lot of drama, it has a lot of mystery, intrigue, action, everything all rolled up into one. It's a South African series, and it's really good. I would recommend you guys check this out if you haven't already. Then there was the show Girls on the Bus. It was an HBO Max original, kind of like a political comedy type thing. It wasn't very memorable, but it also was kind of fun. It was a fun watch, I'll say. All American came back on the CW for what isn't its final season, but maybe should have been its final season. It wrapped up a lot of its storylines, and for some reason is going to come back with a new season. I think maybe they should have called it quits on All American after this season, because I don't think the show will get a better ending than they already did, but we'll have to see when it comes back in the next year. I watched The Gentleman on Netflix. This was another show that it wasn't bad, but it wasn't very memorable at the same time. I had fun watching it, but now that it's off, I can't really, remember anything from the show that was that sets it apart, that made it a really interesting watch. It was a fun watch, but wasn't too memorable. Heartbreak High was like a coming of age comedy drama type thing on Netflix, set in, I want to say Australia, maybe it could be New Zealand, because I've not remembered correctly. This was a while ago I watched this, but this was actually a fun watch. It was, it is a coming of age, like young adult teen drama romance type deal, but it was even fun for me to watch. I didn't mind it too much. I thought it was really good, and yeah, interesting watch. And then in a similar vein of that young adult drama, I watched Degrassi. Now, technically, Degrassi started off as a rewatch because I watched this show growing up, but I watched the entire series until the point where I was starting to see episodes that I hadn't seen when I was younger. All of the series, all of the original Degrassi The Next Generation is on HBO Max, and then after that, the spinoff is on Netflix. I watched the entire thing, and honestly, I enjoyed it. It is very cheesy, about as cheesy as I remember it being, but it also is kind of a comfort show. Once I stopped watching once I finished the original HBO Degrassi The Next Generation, I was actually missing the show and I wanted to watch more of it, and so that's why I started to watch the Netflix spinoff, and I had a lot of fun watching it. If I kind of wish that they went through with the HBO Max reboot that they were doing, because I kind of want to watch more of it, but that was Degrassi. Then there was The Acolyte, the Disney Plus Star Wars show, and guys, I loved this show. I really loved The Acolyte. One of my favorite Star Wars shows in a while. I loved the time period it was set in, very pre like all of the films, like even pre the prequels, which I thought was an interesting take. And it was about Jedis and Sith, like early Sith, which is like the thing that I love about Star Wars. The action in it was really great. The acting was great. The characters were great. I loved Amanda Steinberg playing two different characters in this series. And then Manny Jacinto as the Sith character did an amazing job. I think he should come back for something. I don't know what, but his character was really, really good. I really did enjoy The Acolyte on Disney Plus, and while it's not coming back for another season, I really wish it was. Then there was All American Homecoming, which is the spin-off of All American. This was the final season of All American Homecoming, which honestly, I wish they kind of would have switched it around and ended the original show, because it's kind of run its course, and maybe kept the spin-off series going for a little bit. But either way, it was getting repetitive really fast, having two different shows on around the same time, and they were starting to kind of do the same storylines in both of these shows. It wasn't a great send-off for the series, but it was fun while we had it. Then there was That 90s Show on Netflix, the spin-off of That 70s Show. That's a Netflix original. Came back for what was also its final season. It was no longer renewed for another season. I think this was its second and final season. And it was another one. It was fun. It passed the time, but it wasn't actually like anything significant. Obviously, it wasn't as good as the original That 70s Show, but it was really fun to see some of like Deborah Jo Rupp. It was really fun seeing some of them come back to reprise their roles, and it was fun having a new cast of characters and a new time period. I think it was a really interesting take for a reboot, but I'm not really gonna miss it. There's that. The Umbrella Academy, another show that came back for its final season. And now this really did feel like a final season. They did what they had to do to kind of give the Umbrella Academy a send-off. And it was interesting. I really did enjoy watching this final season of the Umbrella Academy. I like that every single season brought something unique and something different. And I'm actually gonna miss Umbrella Academy. I thought it was a really fun comic book style television show, and it kind of gave you the vibes of like an X-Men series that we never got, you know. But I did enjoy the seasons that we got of it. Fight Night was an original series on Peacock based on a true story featuring Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle, Samuel L. Jackson, Taraji P. Henson, and a bunch of other actors and actresses. Fight Night was really good. Considering it was based off of a true story, it was probably just a one and done miniseries. I don't really see how they could follow it up, because I think that they told the entire story in this one season. But Fight Night was really good. This one was really fun. I enjoyed the like historical elements of it. Like, since it was based off of a true story, it actually takes place during certain events in history. But it was also a really fun like a 70s almost blaxploitation-esque series that featured, you know, a lot of our favorite actors and actresses, but with these really larger than life characters and a very fun action-packed story at the same time. And then there was From came back for another season. This is an MGM Plus original. I think it used to be Epix, but now it's MGM Plus. And this wasn't my favorite season of From. I think a lot of times in these episodes I was kind of getting bored with this season of From, but it is overall a really fun series with a lot of mystery. It's from the creators of Lost, if I remember correctly, and so it does have a lot of intrigue, a lot of twists and turns and mystery to it. This just wasn't my favorite season of it. There was the series Chaos on Netflix. This was a fun, like, this one was based on Greek mythology, but it was kind of like a modern retelling of Greek mythology. A very fun premise, and it was fun to watch. They did a lot of really cool things with their direction and their writing. But again, not the most memorable story. I definitely had fun while I was watching it, but it already has not been renewed, and so there's just going to be one season, a one and done. I would recommend checking it out if you don't have anything to watch and you haven't already seen it, but it doesn't really go anywhere. I'll say that. That was Chaos. And then Grotesquerie on Hulu from Ryan Murphy. This show was actually really good. I talked more about this in the video that I did on American Horror Story Delicate, because while American Horror Story is really starting to disappoint with its most recent seasons, Grotesquerie really delivered and really gave me the vibes that I have been looking for in American Horror Story. It's definitely very dark and graphic and violent, but it gives you like that intrigue and that mystery that kind of pulls you in closer till you figure out what's going on. Grotesquerie was a really good debut season. I would love to see more of it. I don't know if they're going to go the anthology route and do more seasons, or they're going to try to continue the story if it does come back. But I really did enjoy Grotesquerie. Also, really good performances by Niecy Nash and the rest of the cast and crew. And then, since I'm already on the subject, there was American Horror Story Delicate. This season started in 2023, but it finished in 2024. So I couldn't make my full opinion about it until 2024. And I will tell you guys, I actually hated it. This is my least favorite season of American Horror Story ever. But I did a longer video about that, so you can check that out if you want to know more. The other two is a comedy, original comedy on HBO Max. And I watched the entire series. I think I started it a couple years ago, but I finally finished the series in 2024. And the other two is really funny. This one is a great watch. It is just like hilariously funny. Insane situations that the characters find themselves in, and just it's an easy watch. It's a fun watch. This was one that I really did enjoy. I didn't feel like I wasted my time with the other two, because it's just fun and funny and an interesting romp. I would suggest it on HBO Max. Outer Banks came back with 2 parts of its most recent season in 2024, and Outer Banks is awesome, man. Outer Banks is really good. I honestly doubted that it was gonna come back and surpass or live up to its past seasons, but the newest season is really on point. This is also kind of a young adult coming of age type thing, but it has a lot of action, and the main characters are basically treasure hunters. They're low-key pirates, and they find a way to pack a lot of action, a lot of drama, and a lot of story into their seasons, where Outer Banks is just one that you don't want to take your eyes off of. It's always entertaining. It's always interesting what's going on. You can never really guess what's going to happen next. And it really delivers every single season. I think it's renewed for its next season, so I'm excited to see what Outer Banks has when it comes back. Then American Horror Stories, not to be confused with American Horror Story, but this is the spin-off anthology series that usually comes back around Halloween. I talked more about this in the AHS Delicate video as well, but this was one of the best, if not the best, seasons of American Horror Stories. There were a lot of really good stories in this one. Yeah, you guys got to check this out. I watched it around Halloween because I was in the spooky mood and I wanted to watch some spooky things, but this season really delivered. It had great stories, but also great cast. It was really outside the box. There was an episode about a leprechaun, but they were all really good. So I would definitely check out Stories. If you're like me and you are disappointed with the newer seasons of American Horror Story, definitely check out American Horror Stories and you will not be disappointed. The franchise was an HBO Max original comedy, and while I feel like I was the only person watching this show or talking about it, it was actually really funny. It's a parody of a movie set making a franchise movie, so you can kind of think of it like a parody of a crew making a Marvel film or something like that, and it is really funny. A lot of hilarity ensues. The situations that the crew find themselves in is just always really funny, and there's also a lot of tension being built up because of the pressure for them to finish this film that almost everyone on the cast and crew hate. I would definitely recommend the franchise for anyone looking for a fun comedy from 2024. What We Do in the Shadows came back for its final season, its series finale, and I'm sad to see this show go because it was consistently good throughout all of its seasons, but I think it picked a good time to wrap up because it just never got to a point where it disappointed. It was always firing on all cylinders. The performances were always great. The stories were always hilarious. And there were some really good episodes in this final season. Like the one they did that was a parody of The Warriors, where basically they're trying to get home while they're fighting off all of these different vampire gangs. That one was a really good episode. And then the finale was pretty heartfelt, pretty sweet. It was a good send-off for the show overall. But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows is over, and I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with myself now. Then there is Somebody Somewhere, which is another HBO Max original. This is just a real feel-good TV show. Nothing like crazy happens. There's no action in it. There is no mystery. There's a bit of drama in it, but it is really just a fun, feel-good, hometown type of like a very light comedy. And I would definitely recommend Somebody Somewhere, because sometimes you just need that feel-good, sort of down-home, family type of comedy. And the newest season was really good. It was another just really fun, consistent with what they've been doing so far. Great characters, great comedy in it. And yeah, it just gives you the warm feelings on the inside. That was Somebody Somewhere. That is all for our first category of miscellaneous TV shows. But now we're going to get into our second category, which is animated. This is going to be cartoons, anime, and also animated films, all in one category. I found this playlist on YouTube that was a block of Toonami shows. So it was just like early 2000s Toonami, and it was everything. It was the shows, it was the commercials, it was everything all in one that somebody had like taped and uploaded onto YouTube. And from that block, I saw a lot of shows that I was already watching and enjoying, but then I saw a couple of animes that I had never seen, and so I wanted to check them out. So I did, and those were Cyborg 009 and The Big O. So those were two of the first animes that I checked out this year, and they are both really good. Personally, I like anime, but I think I'm a huge fan of like the early 2000s, late 90s anime. Every time I watch one of those, I'm always like really enthralled with the story and the animation style and everything. And these two are no exception. I was definitely enjoying Cyborg 009 and The Big O, so much so that I actually decided to watch the reboot of Cyborg 009 on Netflix, but that was not as good. So I guess we'll get into that with the Cyborg 009 reboot on Netflix. The animation style is the biggest departure from the original show, but also it just doesn't really have the same magic as the original show. I'm not angry that I watched it, because whenever you finish a show that you really like, you kind of want more of it and you want to see what else they've done with the property. So I'm glad that I did get more Cyborg 009, but it did not hit the same level as the original anime. Then there was Clone High, the reboot of Clone High that's on HBO Max, came back for another season, and this one was fun. Nothing too crazy, nothing too memorable, but I think that's kind of what I like Clone High for, just fun sitcom scenarios that you can enjoy for the time and then kind of forget about until it comes back. Then there was Delicious in Dungeon, the Netflix original anime, and this honestly consumed the entire beginning of the year for me. This was my favorite thing in the early year. Delicious in Dungeon is so good. It's heartfelt, it's fun and it's funny, but at the same time it's also really cute and like uplifting somehow. And it's a really interesting premise that you have like these dungeon dwelling characters, like high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons types characters, and they also cook. They find things to eat in the dungeon and they cook and they make these meals and share them with each other. It is a really good show, and it's another one that fires on several cylinders because it is heartfelt, it is funny, it is fun to watch, but then there's also this really like interesting action scenes and this really interesting mysterious storyline underneath of what controls the dungeon that they're in and what they'll find at the center of it. Delicious in Dungeon is so good. It was one of my favorite things in the animated category. Then there was Solo Leveling. This was an anime. I think this one was on Crunchyroll, Hulu maybe. But Solo Leveling was actually really fun. I really enjoyed Solo Leveling. I like how it was like based on video games and RPGs, and it used that in its storytelling. Solo Leveling was fun, and it's actually coming back very soon. In only about 3 days, we're going to get the next part of Solo Leveling, and I cannot wait. Then there was Ninja Kamui? I think it's Kamaui. Ninja Kamaui on Adult Swim. And while this anime was really good when it started off, it really kind of had a steep decline before the end of the season. It started off as a really good action-packed ninja assassin anime. Then they started doing some stuff with mechs to the point where once I got to the end, I was just happy that it was over. I'm going to be completely honest. Had a really good start, but just a really bad ending. Did not stick the landing at all. Smiling Friends is another Adult Swim show, and this one, Smiling Friends, is really fun. I had seen a lot of clips on TikTok that made me want to check it out, but if you haven't seen it, I would recommend you guys watch Smiling Friends. Very unique comedy style, but it kind of like caught the entire internet by storm this last year. And it's really funny, it's really unique. The characters are great, the animation style is sporadic, but it's fun, and it's fun to watch. Invincible was back for another season in 2024, and it was a really good season. Invincible kind of always delivers for sure. I like how it's ramping up the progression of the characters. It's moving kind of fast if you think about where we were in the beginning of season 1 and then where we are at the end of season 2. The progression is going really fast, but I am along for the ride and I am definitely enjoying it. And Invincible will be back in 2025. They've already released their first trailer. I just have yet to check it out. And then there was Blood of Zeus. Now, Blood of Zeus came out a couple years ago, and I tried to watch it, didn't actually finish it. Then they came back for another season. I decided, all right, let's try to finish it. And I still didn't really get into it. It's very slow. This is another, like, based on Greek mythology, but in an anime styling. And it's, I don't know, it's just really slow and boring for me. But the animation is really interesting, and the storytelling is interesting. So maybe it's for someone else. Velma came back for another season, and it's actually now reported that it was the final season. And similar to Halo, I think Velma did get a little bit better in its second season, but not that it was good. It still wasn't good. I don't know why they actually ended up making the Velma show. And I actually wanted to give Velma a fair chance. Despite what everyone was saying, I'm actually really into like reboots and retelling and really like changing the tone and style of a show, because sometimes it does work, but I don't think I would say that Velma worked. Either way, getting 2 seasons out of it was kind of a success, considering I didn't think the first season was very good. But now we don't have to worry about that anymore, at least until the next Scooby-Doo reboot. And then there is Craig of the Creek. I was actually holding off all year from finishing the last few episodes of Craig of the Creek because I thought once I finished that there was no more. But actually, that's not true. I finished the episodes, and it turns out they still have a couple episodes that they have yet to put out that'll probably be coming out in 2025. But Craig of the Creek consistently still really good. If you are not watching Craig of the Creek, I hear a lot of people saying that cartoons aren't that good anymore, that, you know, Cartoon Network was better when they were kids and there's nothing really good on it. Craig of the Creek is one of the best cartoons that they make on Cartoon Network, like, of all time. So you've got to check that out before you give your full opinion on cartoons these days, because Craig of the Creek is carrying the network on its back for as long as it's out. So hopefully it stays out for a little bit longer. The Boy and the Heron. This is the newest Miyazaki Ghibli film, and it won Best Animated Film at the Oscars last year, so I had to check it out. I hadn't seen it until after because I wanted to watch it when it came out on digital, and I did. Once it came out on digital and then the dub dropped because I wanted to see the dub of it because they had a really good American voice cast, I checked out The Boy and the Heron, and it is really fun. It is really, you know, it has everything you would expect from a Ghibli film. The wonder and the magic to it, and the stuff that just kind of doesn't make sense and feels like you're in a dream. Everything kind of was there for The Boy and the Heron. It was another really good Miyazaki film, and I can honestly see why it won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, because it is probably the best animated feature film that we've gotten all year. I watched the Baki Hamna versus Kengan Ashura anime movie type thing that was on Netflix. I've watched Baki before. I watched, you know, the newest Baki show that's on Netflix, and I enjoyed it. It's really out there. It's a really extreme anime that's based around like fighting and wrestling. And apparently this other show, Kengan Ashura, is in a very similar vein, because I think the point was that they're two animes that are like the same but different coming together for like a collaboration movie. And it was fun to watch, but it wasn't like it was something that doesn't really advance the storyline of Baki, probably also of Kengan as well. So it was just a fun little side romp thing, you know, a fun little spin-off extra bonus journey, but nothing significant to the stories of either show. And then the Futurama reboot on Hulu came back for a new season, and it's still really good. Futurama was always one of my favorite shows just to watch, to pass the time, and it still really does that. It has a lot of really fun episodes, but at the same time, nothing significant changes about the show, you know, no significant episodes. They did do a fun little retelling of a couple of their episodes from the original show, so there was that. But yeah, Futurama is still really good, and I'm happy. This is one that I'm really happy they rebooted, because I could definitely do with a lot more Futurama in my life, so I'm glad that we got it. Kaiju number 8. This was a fun anime that I watched. That is about kaiju and kaiju hunters, kaiju fighters, and this one was really good. I really enjoyed Kaiju number 8. I want more of it, so I'm excited for whenever this show comes back. Don't know how long it'll take them for the next season, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It has great action, and I like the story that it tells. It lives in like this kaiju fighting style world. If you don't know, kaiju are like giant monsters like Godzilla, basically, and the main character wants to fight kaiju, but he kind of becomes a kaiju at the same time. So he uses his kaiju powers to fight against kaiju. And obviously, a lot of really interesting events happened after that. Then there was the Dragon Prince, which the Dragon Prince came back to finish off its 6th season, and it also came back for its 7th and final season, all in 2024. And I really did enjoy the Dragon Prince. This comes from the Avatar: The Last Airbender creators, the original cartoons creators. And it has the same like wonder and elements of that, but it takes it and puts it in a completely different setting. It's high fantasy. You got dragons, you got elves, you got mages and things like that. And I think that the show ended off on a really strong note. And it also got 7 seasons as a Netflix series, which usually is hard to do. Sometimes you get that 3 and done. So I'm really happy that they got to tell their entire story all in one. I could do with a little bit more story. I feel like there was just a little bit more that they could have gotten out of the Dragon Prince, but I am glad that we got as much as we did. Then there was Berserk. I've already watched the original series Berserk. I think that was on last year's list or the year before, but I wanted to watch the next part of Berserk. What do they even call it? Now, a lot of people who are fans of Berserk say that this sequel animated series is not worth it, and they kind of hate it, and I can see why. It was very early 3D animation, and it was very rough at certain points, but I still enjoyed the second part, the Berserk sequel anime, whatever it's called. I really got to look it up. Just for getting more of that story. I really like the Berserk story, so I liked more of it, and I like knowing where the story goes after that. I know some people are going to say, just read the manga, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think I feel like reading the manga, but I'm glad that I got a little bit more of the anime. High Score Girl, this is an anime on Netflix, and this was one of my favorites of the year as well because it is a lot about the arcade era. It's a lot about video games, and specifically it's about fighting games. It is an anime about this couple who kind of meet each other through fighting games. And as they progress in their skills and abilities in fighting games, their relationship together progresses as well. It's very sweet. It's very wholesome, despite, anime has a reputation for not being very wholesome. This show is actually very wholesome, and it's also very motivational if you are someone else who plays like fighting games or played arcade games, and you know what it's like to progress as also the technology around you is progressing. You'll probably find a lot in the series to relate to, just like I did. And then there was the Sausage Party series Foodtopia on Amazon Prime, if I remember correctly. And I really enjoyed this. I loved the Sausage Party movie when it first came out from Seth Rogen. So I'm glad they finally followed it up with a series. And it's about as good as the original. It's a racy comedy. It's a very graphic and grotesque comedy a lot of times, but it has a really good story. And the original movie was kind of about, the invention of religion and how people use that to control the masses. This series actually goes more into the invention of civilization, capitalism, and dividing people based on those type of things, and classism. I love how they're able to tell such a really complex story in such a simple way, just with food that likes to have sex with each other. That's basically it. I would recommend the Sausage Party series if you enjoyed the Sausage Party movie. But also, I would recommend it to people who I think wouldn't even enjoy it, because I feel like the story there is just so important. Then there was Spy Family Code White, which is the Spy Family animated movie. And I like Spy Family. I really enjoyed the anime, so I wanted to check out more of it. And this animated movie is actually really good. There are some really good action scenes in it overall. It's fun that they're still doing the shtick of like the dad is a spy, the mom is an assassin, but they don't know about each other. So they're both doing their jobs while keeping it secret from each other. And the daughter can read minds, so she knows both of their jobs, even though they don't want to tell it. I love how they continue that sort of premise throughout this animated film. And it, like I said, it was really good. It had everything you would expect from the original anime, but also had some really, really good high stakes action scenes in it as well. So I would recommend that for sure. And then, like I said, there was another anime. So we had Delicious in Dungeon on Netflix at the beginning of the year, which I thought was like the best thing ever. And then at the end of the year, we got another Netflix original anime that was just as good, if not better, and that was Dandadan. Dandadan came out and kind of took everyone by storm. Dandadan is really fun. It's another really interesting premise. It's fun, it's occult, it's mysterious, but it's also like upbeat and hilarious and just action-packed, exciting, something new every single episode. One thing people don't talk about Dandadan, but the background art is so good, and there are just some really good backgrounds in this show that don't even really get used, but the art is amazing, the characters are fun, the show is fun. Dandadan. Yeah, Dandadan. I cannot wait for them to come back, because they kind of left off on a cliffhanger where the first season is kind of divided into two parts. I cannot wait to get that second part of season 1, because I want more Dandadan. I am actually sad that we don't have any right now, but it will be back. And that double feature, that 2-hit combo of Delicious in Dungeon in the beginning of the year, Dandadan at the end of the year, Netflix anime is firing on all cylinders these days. Then there was Everybody Still Hates Chris. This is an animated reboot of the show Everybody Hates Chris. And this was actually fun. It was another reboot where it's like, wow, animated version of a live action sitcom. It wasn't expected, but actually it really was fun. It was really good. You get a lot of the same characters from the original shows, and you just put them in some more ridiculous situations because it's animated now. Invincible Fight Girl. Invincible Fight Girl is another Cartoon Network original. It's on HBO Max if you want to stream it. And this is another one this is one of the best animated shows of Cartoon Network history. And I'm so excited that we got it right now. It is really fun. It's American animation, but it's definitely inspired by anime. You can tell by the way that they animate it. It's action-packed, and it's about a girl who wants to be a wrestler. She was raised to be an accountant, but she wants to be a wrestler, and she is one of the best to ever do it. And we'll find out more about her journey in the coming season. Invincible Fight Girl is really good, uplifting, great animation style, insanely good characters, fires on all cylinders. One of the best animated shows of the entire year in 2024. Then we got Star Trek Lower Decks for another final season. Star Trek Lower Decks is now complete. And I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but Lower Decks was always one of my favorites to come back to because of how fun and funny it is, and it doesn't take itself too seriously like most of the other Star Trek media. I'm actually really sad that this is the final season of Lower Decks, but we also might get more with these characters in the future because I think that this brought a lot of eyes and attention to Star Trek and to Paramount Plus specifically for Lower Decks. And then Arcane. I did a longer first and final video about Arcane Season 2, so I'm not going to talk too much about it yet, but we'll get more into it later. But it's really good. So check out my first and final video for me to go into details about why it's really good and what about it is really good. Go Go Loser Ranger. This is another anime. This might have came out in 2023 or early 2024, and I missed it when it first came out, so I went back and watched the first season. This one's really fun. This is an anime based on like Power Rangers Sentai type lore, and I think they did a really good job with it. There's a lot of things that are different about it, but there's a lot of things that if you know the like Power Rangers stuff, if you grew up on that just like I did, you'll probably have a lot of fun with this as well. But obviously, like most anime, it takes it up like several steps. It increases the stakes a lot and makes an entire world built around this kind of lore. And I'm excited I really enjoyed the first season of Go Go Loser Ranger, and I would love to see more. Pantheon is an AMC original animated series streaming on Netflix, and they kind of advertised this show to me a lot before I decided to really take the plunge and check it out. And once I did, I was like, oh, I am really glad I did because Pantheon is really good. This is a like adult animated series, and it's about uploaded intelligence, UI, which is, the concept that when you die, you can upload your consciousness to the web and become like a cyber being. It is about that premise, but it really goes hard on that premise. It increases the stakes, it takes it up a notch, and it creates an entire world based around the uploaded intelligence. But Pantheon, you guys got to check it out. I can't really explain why and how it's so good, but it is really good. Beastars came back to start its final season, and I decided to finally give it a chance. It's a Netflix anime, and it is based on characters that are animals, kind of like Zootopia, but with a lot more adult themes because some of these animals do eat each other. Some of these animals do have sex with each other. I'm just gonna put that out there. But I really did like Beastars. I hadn't watched it when the first season came out or when the second season came out. But since they said they were coming back for their final season, I was like, let me finally go ahead and give it a try. And it's actually really good. I like that it's slice of life. It has a bit of like noir mystery to it as well. And I like the tone that they went for with Beastars. It really kept me engaged. And I like the characters. So yeah, I enjoyed it overall. And it's not done yet. They did part 1 of their final season, and at some point they'll come back with part 2 of their final season. There was Secret Level, the show that you guys might see in the background behind me. I talked more about this in last week's first and final video, so you guys can get the in-depth opinions on Secret Level in that video. But Secret Level is really good. It's a video game anthology series. It covers many different video games and creates a bunch of stories based on these video games. So check it out. And Tokyo Overload, I just finished this show up on Netflix. This one the story isn't that interesting, I'll say. I really started watching it because of the animation style. It has like the 3D animated with a little bit of 2D stylization. And I don't know. It was really short. It was really fast to get through, but it wasn't a very memorable story overall. Gentry Chow versus the Underworld, however, was a really memorable story. This is also on Netflix, and I will recommend this one because this is full of action. It's full of mystery, intrigue, pretty dark like subject matter in a way because this character does fight off underworld characters, but also just a really fun story on the surface as well. It's like coming of age. The animation style is amazing. I love the way that this is animated, and it makes for some really good action scenes and fight scenes. And yeah, Gentry Chow versus the Underworld, probably one of the most underrated animated shows of the year. And with that, we're done with the animation section. So we're going to go right into documentary and reality TV series. I guess we'll start off with the Jrod Carmichael reality show because I put that in the wrong category at first. But this one was very interesting. It was probably different than what I expected. It was very raw look at Jrod Carmichael's life. I mean, at sometimes even more details and more uncensored than anyone would ever want. But it made for a fun show, a very interesting show at the same time, where you got to really look at someone else's life in all of its details. But it made a really good show out of it at the end of the day. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. The Traitors reality show came back on Peacock earlier this year. It's about to come back for another season in 2025. But last season was pretty fun. I like some of the real people that they brought in for this season. We had CT from the challenge, and Johnny Bananas from the challenge was originally on there. Yeah, another fun season of the Traitors. Nothing too different from what we already expected. Mean Girls, not Mean Girls the movie, but this is a reality show that took place on Now That's TV. I checked it out. And if you don't know about Now That's TV, I'm supposed to make a longer video about it some point this year, a video essay. It is a reality TV network where basically people just come to fight. So this was another show where people just came and they fought. Big Brother 6. I watched Big Brother 6 in 2024 because it was put on Netflix. And this was a very interesting classic season of Big Brother. This was Janelle's season and Howie, some Big Brother favorites. And honestly, I had seen this when it first came out on TV, but that was so long ago that I forgot a lot of the details of this season, so it was fun to give it a rewatch. And also Big Brother Canada 12, which actually turns out is the final season of Big Brother Canada. They have not been renewed for a new one. And it was a whole lot of fun. They brought back some classic Big Brother Canada characters for this, like Spicy V and Dougie, aka Poutine Poppy. This was fun. This was another fun season. I like how it kind of became the returning characters versus all of the new cast of characters. And it was really interesting. I really do enjoy Big Brother Canada, so I would love for it to come back. But as of right now, it's not renewed for another season, so that might be it. Then there was Baddies East and Baddies Caribbean, both on Zeus. This show just continued. It's actually back for another season right now, Baddies Midwest. But Baddies East finished up earlier this year, and then Baddies Caribbean came back around the summer. And what should I say about this? I made a video kind of going into some of the details of this show and why I call it the Sad Girls Club. But that video only really covered the first couple seasons and ended off at Baddies East. So now that we're 2 seasons from that, there's a lot more opinions I have on the show, but it is basically still the Sad Girls Club. And also they did a series called Bad vs. Wild, a spin-off series that was basically Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out, but featuring Zeus property. And they just played Wild 'N Out games, basically. And they weren't really good at any of the games, so they ended up just fighting each other to end the series. The Program was a documentary I watched on Netflix about like the dark history behind like behavioral therapy camps for children. This was actually a really good watch because it showed a lot of the corruption in that industry and how honestly a lot of those places were just made to manipulate parents and children and get their money. It was really interesting. I would recommend it. Quiet on Set. This honestly, this was I think it was on like ID when it originally premiered, but it streams on HBO Max. And this is the documentary about the dark history behind a lot of TV shows, kids TV shows on Nickelodeon, like All That, Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, and a lot of the like there was a lot of sexual abuse and things behind the scenes of these different shows that we honestly just watched as kids, thinking that they were just fun kids TV shows. But honestly, for the actors and actresses on them, they were terrible. Yeah, Quiet on Set, I really enjoyed this just for how eye-opening it is, because I did watch a lot of these shows when I was a kid. Rami Youssef had a new stand-up special this year called More Feelings. It was really good. It was really funny. And he gave all of his proceeds to Palestine charities. And yeah, I would recommend checking it out just because it is really funny. Zodiac House is another reality TV show that came out on Now That's TV, and this one tried to really be like a competition reality show, similar to maybe like a Big Brother or The Challenge. But since it's on Now That's TV, again, it was just a lot of fighting. I'm gonna be honest. Now That's TV is basically just a fight club, and this show is no different. The Circle came back for another season this year. A very interesting season. I'm trying to think if anything memorable happened on this season, but I guess if you've ever seen The Circle, you kind of already know where it's going. A lot like Big Brother, but it has that additional kind of social isolation type of twist to it. And it was a fun season. It was fun to watch, but yeah, nothing crazy really happened. The Challenge All-Stars came back for another season earlier this year, which was fun. The competition on Challenge All-Stars is starting to get a little bit steeper, whereas originally it started off as basically like a softer version of the challenge with a easier pool of competitors, but now it's starting to become more equal and have parity with the actual season of the challenge. Challenge All-Stars is also about to come back for another season this year, so I'm really excited for that. Perfect Match is like a dating competition reality show on Netflix. I don't know, nothing too crazy, not much I can say about this, but yeah, people come on and they be dating. Claim to Fame is a fun reality show where all of the participants are related to different celebrities, and they have to guess who their celebrity relatives are in order for a chance to win. Whoever keeps their celebrity relative secret the longest basically comes out as the winner. And this was a fun season of Claim to Fame. I always like watching it just to try to figure out who everyone is related to before the show ends and put the pieces together. So I like the mystery element of it. And Big Brother 26, the original, the flagship Big Brother US series, came back for another season this year. And it was interesting. There were highs to it. I think they had a really fun twist in the beginning. There were lows to it where the twist started to get abused, and so everyone who emerged as a really good player or your favorite player kind of got eliminated, and then you had to deal with whoever was left. But overall, pretty good season of Big Brother for Big Brother 26. The Challenge 40 Battle of the Eras is still on currently. It's about to wrap up because they just officially started their final challenge. But this was a really fun season because since it's the 40th season, they have been going back and referencing all of their past seasons. They bought a massive cast full of people who represent all the different eras of the challenge. And a good season overall. I love the callbacks in this one, and I'm enjoying it so far. College Hill Celebrity Edition is a reality show where celebrities go back to college, basically. This was another fun season. It gives you like Black history. It gives you a little bit of the college experience. It's kind of like a simulated college experience because it puts the celebrities through a lot of different classes and asks them to do a lot of different assignments in a short period of time. But it's a fun watch. Critter Fixers is one of my favorite reality shows, and it is about some Black veterinarians in Georgia who know how to treat and heal basically every single animal that has ever existed. And they came back for another season this year, a good season. And also, they came to Philadelphia. They actually went to Saul High School at some point in their newest season, which I was really excited about because, yeah, the Critter Fixers were kind of close to home for a second. Then there were the 90 Day Fiancé spinoffs. This year was 90 Day Happily Ever After, 90 Day The Other Way, and before the 90 days, if you've never seen any of those, just know that they are basically these, the premise of 90 Day Fiancé is these couples are mixed. One person comes from one country, one person comes from another country, and they try to learn each other's cultures and live together and become a couple and get married in 90 days. These three spinoffs are all different. They all have different elements to them, but kind of the same, If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Have I Got News for You is a brand new news comedy type of series. It's basically like Whose Line Is It Anyway, but it also gives you news stories at the same time. It's on CNN. It's renewed for a new season, and it's actually really good with Roy Jones Jr. as the host. I loved watching this because the news is pretty depressing, so I like the way that they make it funny. Jamie Foxx had a new comedy special called What Had Happened Was, if I remember correctly, and he finally explains the medical emergency that he went through earlier in the year that had him hospitalized for some time. He actually had a brain bleed and a stroke, and so this is honestly is a comedy series. It has its funny and fun moments, but the subject matter is really serious, and honestly there are a lot of really sad moments in this comedy special, as well as he's really trying to explain everything that happened and what he's been through. But you know, we're happy Jamie Foxx is still with us. He survived that. He came out on the other side, and he's able to do a comedy series like this. And then there was The Floor. The Floor is a reality competition quiz show on Fox with a really interesting premise that people compete in trivia competitions for various categories. And every time you win, you get more of the floor. And whoever has the most of the floor at the end wins the grand prize. It's really fun. It's a fun watch, especially if you like trivia. And The Masked Singer. The Masked Singer, it is what it is. A bunch of singers wear masks and costumes, and you have to guess who they are. Similar to like Claim to Fame, I just like the aspect of guessing who is that person, and trying to figure it out before the show actually reveals who that person is. So that was everything for documentary and reality TV. So now we're going to get into it with the Marvel and DC category. Starting off this year with Marvel TV show, and Echo is actually really good. I didn't know what to expect about this character, didn't know much about them, but I really liked Echo's series. I'm upset because a lot of actors and actresses that were in Reservation Dogs are now in Echo. I kind of feel like Echo has something to do with Reservation Dogs getting canceled, but either way, I do enjoy that there is another like show with a lot of Native American representation. Then what point you get a lot of fun stories. You get a lot of character like mashups and Elseworld type stories that you normally wouldn't get in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they animate them and they bring them in the What If storyline. X-Men the Animated Series. Now this is the original X-Men animated series from the 90s. I had started it, but I never watched the entire thing through, so ahead of X-Men 97 coming out, I decided to watch all of X-Men the Animated Series, and I'm glad I did because it gave me a lot of context for X-Men 97, but also it was just really good. That is a show that holds up, and I can see why they decided to reboot it with X-Men 97. And then the next thing on this list is X-Men 97. I did a first and final video on it where I talked in more detail, but the Too Long Didn't Read is X-Men 97 is really good, and it's a really good spin-off of the original animated series. Aquaman 2. I watched Aquaman 2 this year, but honestly, I don't remember a single thing about it, so I'll just keep it at that. My Adventures with Superman came back for its second season, and this is a really good show, and the second season is really good. I am kind of a Superman hater, but I can't hate when the show is this good, and My Adventures with Superman is that good. They did a Supergirl storyline in this one, and I thought that they knocked it out the park. I thought they did a really good job with it. Overall, great story. Suicide Squad Isekai is a anime based on Suicide Squad characters. It's an isekai specifically, and it was another one that was like an interesting retelling reboot, but I liked it. I really did like Suicide Squad Isekai. I think at this point we're kind of doing a lot with the Suicide Squad characters and mythos, but this one I didn't mind seeing because I think it handled it pretty well. Kite Man is a spin-off of the Harley Quinn series featuring Kite Man, obviously. And this is another one. It's fun. It's fun. It's funny. I'm glad Kite Man got his own show because he is another like unexpectedly really good character in the DCU. But yeah, nothing too crazy. It is kind of basically like getting more episodes of Harley Quinn, but Harley Quinn is on a break, basically. Deadpool and Wolverine, I did a first and final video about this as well, so you can see my full thoughts about it, but ooh, it's really good. It was better than I even expected. It definitely continues the lineage of Deadpool and Wolverine in a really good way. Batman the Caped Crusader. This is a animated reboot of... Okay, so it's hard to say it's an animated reboot of Batman the Animated Series because it's kind of in its own continuity from Batman the Animated Series, but it does have a similar feel an animation style to Batman the Animated Series. It's a bit darker and grittier, but honestly, it is really good. It's on Amazon Prime, and I need more Batman Caped Crusader because it is just so good. The fact that it goes a bit darker than the original animated series is allowed to do more adult tones because it's a streaming series and not like a show made for children like the original Batman animated series was. But yeah, Batman the Caped Crusader was so good. There was Agatha All Along, which again, I made a first and final video about my thoughts of Agatha All Along, so you can check that out if you want to see my detailed thoughts. There was the Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy. This is the animated, like DC animated movie. They did a trilogy for Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was fun. Honestly, it was kind of like DC's versions of What If, because you went through all these different multiverses, saw all these different versions of the characters, and then in the end, they all came together to fight a common goal. It was interesting. It was fun, but, you know, nothing too crazy. Nothing we really haven't seen before with the DC multiverse, but if you just want some more, this is a good place to get it because everything is all in one place. Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux. I watched this right when it came to digital this year, and it's not as good as the original Joker, but a lot of people said it was really bad. I don't think it was really bad. I think it had a bad ending, and other than that, it was just okay. I didn't actually mind that it was a musical. I thought I was going to hate it for being a musical, but when I watched it, the musical wasn't my problem with the film. My problem was the ending more than anything. And also, I didn't feel like Lady Gaga's character had any actual... It just felt like it wasn't necessary. Like, everything that happened in Joker Folie à Deux just felt like stuff happening, and there was no real rhyme or reason for it to happen. They could have actually held on to that until they had a better script for a Joker sequel, I think. The Penguin on HBO Max. It was so good. It was similar to The Batman because it is based in the same universe as The Batman. But when I heard about The Batman, I had like pretty low to mid expectations for it. And then when I saw The Batman, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. Same thing with The Penguin. I could not have expected how good The Penguin was going to be. It gives you like the vibes of The Sopranos. It gives you those dark crime story mafia type vibes, but it puts it in the Gotham City DC universe continuity, and Colin Farrell did an amazing job as the Penguin. All the characters in this are really good. Christina Milioti as Sophia Falcone being one of my new favorite characters in the entire DC universe. This one was really, really good. One of the best of the year for multiple reasons. I cannot believe how good the Penguin was, but it was really, really good. So that is it for the Marvel vs. DC category, and next up is The Big Show. If you guys don't know about The Big Show, it's another show category, but these are shows that I could consider to be the best of the year. Any of these shows I would consider to be good at least, and some of them are great. So let's get into it, starting with Fargo. The newest season of Fargo ended off earlier this year, and it's a really good season of Fargo. I just started Fargo last year, so I had watched all the past seasons and then watched this newest season as it aired. And yeah, they're all really good. Like, Fargo is consistently really good. The reason why it's in this category is because every single season, while they're all different and the story starts over every season, all the stories are really good. Letterkenny came back for its final season. Actually, I think the final season aired in 2023, but I didn't want to finish it until 2024 to give myself more time with the series because I love it. Letterkenny is a very fun, slice of life, comedy style comedy show that takes place in Canada. So it's streaming originally on Crackle, but you can also check it out on Hulu if you're not in Canada. And Letterkenny was so fun, and I'm just upset that that was the final season. The Curse on Showtime was another fun. It's a scripted series featuring Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder, and it is outrageously funny. Like, nothing in it actually makes sense. The awkward style of comedy that Nathan Fielder does is perfect for this show. And yeah, The Curse was just really good. It's hard to explain because it is so weird and off-putting, but at the same time, you don't want to stop watching it and look away. So yeah, The Curse is really good. I would definitely recommend it on Showtime. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the reboot of Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon featuring Donald Glover and Maya Erskine. But while this was not really anything like the original Mr. and Mrs. Smith film, I really liked it. I love how different it was. I love how like serious and kind of dark it was, but then it was also funny and it was goofy at times. I really do like Donald Glover's writing style, his directing style, and his acting. So I was really familiar with the tone that they were going for this Mr. and Mrs. Smith series. And overall, I thought it was really good. I'm supposed to make a first and final video about it, but I forgot to come back and record my final review. So if I do eventually make one, I'll put it up as a members only video. Sort of came back for its final season on HBO Max. This is a original series that features a non-binary lead character, and it was really good. A good final season. This is another one that has it has some drama, it has a lot of comedy. It's very heartfelt at the end and inspirational. I really like Sort of, and another one I'm sad to see go. This was a good show, and I would definitely like to watch more seasons of it. Abbott Elementary came back. Abbott comes on twice a year now, early in the year, and then late in the year it comes back. And, I mean, come on, what can I say about Abbott Elementary? Consistently good, outrageously funny, and it just needs to get renewed for 100 more seasons. The Vince Staples Show was early this year in February, and I have a full first and final video on the Vince Staples Show where I talk about every single episode, so check that out. But also really good, consistently good, and really funny. Shogun. I actually just finished up Shogun at the end of the year, but since it came out in April, it was earlier on my list. And Shogun is really good. Shogun is actually really good. I mean, I don't think I need to tell you that because it's nominated for a lot of awards and it's already won a bunch of stuff. Shogun is a great historical drama. It has great action, great characters, a lot of tension, and yeah, really good. The Fallout series, based on the Fallout games, another really good one. Fallout was very funny. Fallout was very action-packed and interesting. I love the tone of Fallout. I love the setting of Fallout. And it actually made me go play Fallout. I loved it so much that I was like, all right, let me try Fallout 3. And I did. I played through the entire game. But we'll get to that in the games. That's on the games list. But the Fallout series is so good. I would say that Fallout was the best video game adapted series of the year. But that was until we got to Arcane Season 2, which I think was better. So yeah, Fallout was probably the second best video game adaptation of the year. I would say Arcane is the first, then Fallout, and then maybe Secret Level under that. Hacks came back for a new season. This is the HBO original comedy, and it's just consistently good. This has some of the best comedy writing of any show ever, which makes sense because it's a show about comedy writing, but I mean, because of that, the comedy writing in it is also really good. The Big Cigar is a series on Apple TV Plus that is about Huey Newton and his escape to the Big Cigar, which is Cuba. And this one is really good. I love the historical elements, learning more about the story of Huey Newton, like before when he was first founding his branch of the Black Panthers, but then also how his activism made him a revolutionary, then it made him a political prisoner, and then it put him on the run. It was all really good, and it was a nice slice of life for Huey Newton all in one series. Queenie was a show on Hulu. I checked this out some point around the summer. It's about the main character, Queenie, a British black character that is trying to find her way through life. And it's really good. This is another one. It's just really nice, heartfelt, beautiful show about, growth. Great characters in this, including the main character herself, Queenie, and just a really good look at a British black family. The Boys came back for another season, one of their strongest seasons in many regards, because they really went for it with their political storylines, but also just increasing the tension in this war between the Supes and the Boys. It really came to a head. And yeah, the way that the season ended was such a gut punch style moment that I cannot wait to see what they do with the next season of The Boys whenever that comes. But I'm pretty sure we won't get another season of The Boys for a couple years. The Bear also came back for another season this year, and another really good season. That is another show that is just, the tension is mounting. It's coming to a head. The characters are growing and moving, branching off in different areas. The restaurant that they created in The Bear is finally starting to be a restaurant, a full-fledged thing, and not just an idea of a restaurant. And with that comes a lot more tension and a lot more problems to be solved. Let's just say that. Sweet Tooth came back for its final season on Netflix. This is another really sweet and heartfelt series, but it's also really fun, and there's some mystery to it as well. Very interesting, and I'm sad to see this one go, Sweet Tooth, because I was always interested in the show, but I never expected it to be as good as it was. Every single time I came back to watch Sweet Tooth, it kind of impressed me. And I love like the post-apocalyptic type series, and I love how this one stood apart from other post-apocalyptic series. Had its own unique tone, its own unique voice, and really good writing. Bel-Air came back for another season. This is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reboot, and it's the reboot that is nothing like its original series. And I honestly love that about it, because I feel like I'm watching a brand new original show every time I watch it, but there are some familiar elements of it as well, and I think that really helps you relate to it and gravitate towards it. But Bel-Air came back for another like really dramatic, really good season, and it's renewed for another season, but I believe the next season will be its final one. Then I watched Girls on HBO. This was another show that started off as a rewatch. I had actually watched this show when it was on TV, but I never finished it. So I decided to watch the entire show straight through, and it was actually fun. I like the show. It's aged interestingly since it originally came on, but it's actually still really fun to watch. It has really good writing and really interesting characters and character situations. And so I'm glad that I did actually go back and watch it all the way through. Industry. This is the HBO Max original, and this one was, oh man, came back for one of its most like electrifying seasons. This newest season was just, the tension was high, the stakes were high, everything was firing. It was just, everything was popping off in this newest season of Industry. And this is already just a really high stakes series, so I was surprised at how they continue to raise the stakes and come back with an even more exciting season than the past seasons. How to Die Alone is another Hulu original series. This one features Natasha Rothwell as the main character, and this one was really nice as well. I mean, it is obviously about, dealing with your mortality, and when you're confronted with death, how do you then live your life? It's a premise that we've seen in a lot of different shows, but it gives it a nice little spin that makes it very unique and very interesting, and a really good first season. I would love to see this show come back for more. Then on Netflix, I watched the show, and then another AMC original, Interview with the Vampire. If you guys don't know, AMC made a deal with Netflix so they could stream a lot more of their shows. So that is the reason why we got Pantheon, we got Interview with the Vampire, we got Kevin Can Fuck Himself, and we got a lot more AMC original shows that are now streaming on Netflix. And so I watched Interview with the Vampire. Season 1 is on Netflix, but I watched all the way through season 2 as well, so I could be caught up. And this one's really good. I created a tradition of watching something that's vampire related every single year. And while I watched like First Kill 2 years ago, I watched True Blood last year, this is the first time that the vampire thing that I watched wasn't super cringy. This was probably the vampire media that took itself the most seriously, and because of that, this was probably the best vampire thing I've watched so far on these lists. But Interview with the Vampire is really good. Performances are really good in this. The acting is great. The writing is great. And it's really just intense. Like, they really go hard in the vampire lore, and they deliver some amazing stories. Say Nothing. This is another really intense show. This is about the Irish Republican Army and the first women to join the Irish Republican Army. This is a Hulu original. It's based off of a book, and Say Nothing is so incredibly good. This is another one that I think is going to be underrated for this year. I wish more people would check out Say Nothing, because it is, oh my goodness, it's so intense. It is firing on all cylinders. The characters are so good. The acting is so good. The story is like visceral and guttural, and oh my god, you wouldn't believe the things that these people will put themselves through for their independence. But that is their entire life, and that is what they've been fighting for their entire lives. You're looking at a world that you probably have never seen before and never thought out before, but for the people in the story, that is their entire world. That encompasses their entire being. They are willing to live and die for their cause, and for us, it's just something that we've never even thought about. It's just a story in a book or a story on a TV show, and it's literally their entire life. Say Nothing is another one of the best shows of this year. 2 more categories, guys, and we're going to go into video games next. Now, like I said, these are the narrative video games that I played that have a story that you can beat. So all of these games, I played through their stories and I beat them in 2024. And yeah, I can't wait to see which games I'm going to be playing then beating their narratives in 2025. But there was God of War, the original God of War 2018. I played that earlier this year, and it's such a really good game, and I'm glad I played it because it's teeing up God of War Ragnarok, which I also played through in 2024. These 2 games are just like, God of War is already really known for its like action and its intense violence and all of that, but you wouldn't believe how emotional these stories are and how good at storytelling the new God of War spinoffs are, and just how like heartwarming and heartfelt and sincere the story has become, where Kratos is such a good dad, and it's really about him learning to relate to his son on an emotional level while at the same time they're killing gods. It's just so good, God of War and God of War Ragnarok. And I'm actually doing my God of War Ragnarok playthrough on the channel now, so you can check out the first 2 parts and know that part 3 is coming very soon. I also played through Fable 2. I'm trying to beat all the Fable games before the newest Fable 4 comes out. And I played Fable 1 2 years ago, played Fable 2 last year, and so I'm going to be doing Fable 3 in 2025. And also the newest game probably will drop in 2025. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. My playthrough is actually out on the channel for members only, but there are a couple of chapters you guys can watch without being a channel member, including when I unlocked the Joker, who was the first DLC character, and recently I just unlocked the last DLC character, which is Deathstroke. While people hate this game, I really loved it. I actually really liked it. I liked killing the Justice League. I actually find it really weird that people had a problem with the fact that the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League when the name of the game is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Like, obviously that was going to happen at some point, and I really enjoyed killing them off. Yeah, maybe it was a bit unrealistic, but hey, we got kryptonite bullets and we shot Superman, and I had fun doing it. We shot Batman in the head in the middle of a park, and I had fun doing it. So yeah, there's that. I really enjoyed the game. It has its problems for sure. It's extremely repetitive once you beat the story mode, but I thought the story mode really was good and really held up, and the gameplay is fun. Then there was Tekken 8. So I played through Tekken 8's story mode earlier this year when Tekken 8 came out. That is also a playlist you guys can check out on the channel. And it was fun. Not the most memorable story, and Tekken 8's story can kind of be repetitive because, you know, you gotta fight Jin with Kazuya, or you gotta fight Heihachi with Kazuya, or you gotta fight Kazuya with Heihachi. Like, it's the same thing over again. It's that Mishima family rivalry that continues to persist. I also beat Mirror's Edge 2, Mirror's Edge Catalyst this year. That was fun. I didn't like the gameplay as much as Mirror's Edge 1, because Mirror's Edge 1, the parkour was really, I don't know if it was because it was janky or because it was really precise, but the parkour was a lot harder in Mirror's Edge 1, and they made it a bit easier in Mirror's Edge Catalyst. But the story was fun. There was actually combat in this one. And I like the parkour storyline. Mirror's Edge was a game I always wanted to play when I was little. So when I got like Steam and I got my Steam Deck, I decided to just give Mirror's Edge 2 a try. And I think I played Mirror's Edge 1 on Game Pass a couple years ago. Fallout 3, like I said, after I watched the Fallout series, I wanted to play a Fallout game. And so I did. And I played Fallout 3, the entire story. Didn't do all the side missions or anything. I'm not trying to 100% it or anything. But I did want that Fallout experience. And it was really fun. I can actually really see why people love these games, and I do want to play some more. So I want to play Fallout 4, I want to play New Vegas, and I want to get more Fallouts under my belt in the future. Then, after I watched Deadpool and Wolverine, I had an itch for Deadpool and Wolverine games. So we played the Deadpool game, the Wolverine, X-Men Wolverine Origins, and Ultimate Alliance 2. I played through all 3 of those games, and they're all old, so they are all pretty janky, but they're actually all really fun still. They kind of all hold up. And look, come in close when I whisper this to you. They're actually all delisted, which means that they don't sell them anymore. Right now, as of right now, or when I downloaded them, they don't sell them anymore for Steam. So you can kind of go online and find a copy of the game that somebody just packaged for you, you know, the whole thing that you can download for free on the internet. Not saying that's what I did, but it is technically possible to download a full free version of all three of these games on the internet and play through them at your leisure. But yeah, Deadpool game was fun. The Wolverine X-Men Wolverine Origins was fun, but it was actually really long. And Ultimate Alliance 2 was one of the first games I ever played when I got my Xbox 360. So I enjoyed replaying it and actually just, you know, playing it all the way through to the end this time. Then Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So I had played this game a lot earlier, a long time ago, but I never beat it. So after Borderlands 4 got announced, I decided let's play through pre-sequel in its entirety and let's replay Borderlands 3. And that I did. I beat Borderlands the pre-sequel. I beat all the side missions in Borderlands the pre-sequel, besides maybe the raid boss. And I really enjoyed it. Huge fan of Borderlands. And honestly, the more I play them and the more time goes on with these games, the more I start to really love them and fall in love with them. I think out of the main storyline, Borderlands 1, 2, 3, and pre-sequel, I think they're all really good games. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which I played on the channel, all really good games. You can't change my mind about that. And then there was Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns story DLC. That is also another playthrough I have on the channel when that came out. I had a lot of fun with that. The story is a lot shorter than a lot of people expected. And it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I didn't think the story was bad at all, in my opinion. I just think it was a bit short overall, especially for the price of the DLC expansion. But I had a lot of fun playing that. And then there was Tekken 8's DLC story expansion, Unforgotten Echoes. That was fun, but it was basically just a Heihachi expansion type deal. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the most memorable thing, but I did enjoy actually getting to play all the DLC characters in a story expansion. So yeah, I think that's what it's for. Same thing with Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns. It was really just more story chapters, but these ones include the DLC characters. So you get your chance to put them in. One complaint I have about Mortal Kombat 1 Chaos Reigns story and the original story, there's no Geras chapter in either of them. Geras is present for the events of both stories the entire time, and there's no Geras chapter in any of the Mortal Kombat 1 stories. I don't know why, but they treat Geras like he's a DLC character or like he's a bonus character or like they didn't even know he was in the game. We need some Geras love. He needs a new skin and he needs some DLC story chapters. So then finally there was Spider-Man Miles Morales. Since we got the announcement of Spider-Man 2 coming to PC this month, I decided to play Spider-Man Miles Morales because that was the only one I hadn't played. I played Spider-Man Remastered a couple years ago. Now I'm playing Miles Morales, and so I'm technically all caught up and ready for Spider-Man 2 to drop this month. Miles Morales was really good. I love the story. I think the story in Miles Morales is really strong, but another one, it was really short. Like, I get why a lot of people complained and said it might as well have just been a DLC, because overall it was a really short story, especially compared to Spider-Man Remastered. I wish it was a lot longer. But that is it for the narrative games of 2024, and now we are in the final category, the movies. The movies of 2024, and then we're going to talk best, worst, and then we're going to be done. Starting off, the first movie on this list is Killers of the Flower Moon. This was one of the Oscar-nominated films from, technically it was last year, but the awards was this year, but it was for the films of last year. I watched Killers of the Flower Moon, and it's actually a lot better than I thought. My main gripe with it is that even though it's a really strong story about the persistence of this Native American community that was basically being killed off, decimated, dismantled, manipulated, stolen from, the main character was a white guy. And I just hate when they do that in films. As if we're not going to care about the story unless the main character is a white guy. But it's really a strong story about the Osage community, and I wish it kind of focused more on those characters. But overall, it's a really good film. Then there was Oppenheimer. This was another one that I didn't think I was going to like too much, but Oppenheimer was really good. I like the dramatic scenario that they created, and it's basically historical, Overall, a really good film. I had a bit of beef with Christopher Nolan, but I actually really like this one. Poor Things. Poor Things is probably my favorite film of the last Oscar run, and it is really good. It's really unique. It has such an interesting style. It's by Yorgos Lanthimos, who did The Lobster, and I think that's another really good, really unique film. And he also did The Favorite, which is another really fun one. And this one is just, it's very unique. It's like a retelling of Frankenstein. The Frankenstein in this narrative is basically the main character, so you get to see through their lives and their evolution. Another one of my favorite from the Oscars run was Past Lives. I don't remember if Past Lives won anything, but this is a really strong story. I want to say it's a romance, but it is more of basically like a story of friendship and a story of these two characters that bonded when they were younger, coming back together in the future, and, you know, reminiscing on how their lives have gone and how their lives have gone in two different directions. Past Lives is actually really good. American Fiction, one of the few movies I saw in theaters in 2024, but American Fiction is so good. It's so funny. It has really good dramatic moments as well. Like, there are some sadder moments in the story, but American Fiction, really strong story, really great, and I would definitely recommend. Rustin, the Netflix movie based on Bayard Rustin, the civil rights figure, and featuring Coleman Domingo. I checked this out on Netflix, and it is also really good. You learn a lot about Bayard Rustin, who I think is like an underrated civil rights figure. We don't hear about him as much. We don't talk about him as much. So I love getting a little bit more insight into his life through this film. And then there was also Shirley, the Shirley Chisholm film. I think this was also on Netflix, and it features Regina King as Shirley Chisholm. I believe it was like shot years ago. I don't know what happened in production that made it come out so late, but I'm glad it finally came out and we got more insight into Shirley Chisholm's life as well. Dune 2 came out on HBO. It came out in theaters first, but I waited for it to come to HBO to watch it. And I like Dune, and I like Dune 2. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it, because I never watched the original Dune film. I never read the book or anything, but I really do like the world. The world building, I think, is really good in it. The sci-fi elements, the action is very mysterious, and it makes me want to learn more and deal with these characters and live in this world a bit more. And whenever I do, I enjoy it. I haven't seen the Dune series, Dune Prophecy, as of yet, but I've heard it's really good, so I might be adding that to the list to check out in 2025. Love Lies Bleeding is one of the most, explosive and interesting and electrifying movies of 2024. Love Lies Bleeding was just so action-packed and intense. I think intense is a really good way to describe it, because, man, everything that happens is just jaw-dropping and unexpected, and you really don't want to take your eyes off of Love Lies Bleeding when this movie is on, but damn, it is so good. The Book of Clarence, I think this started streaming on Netflix, and I finally got to give it a try. But The Book of Clarence is actually a really fun film featuring Lakeith Stanfield as not Jesus. He plays Clarence, but he goes through some very Jesus-like situations. Jesus actually is a character in this film, so he's another character. They just they cross paths at some point. I'm not going to spoil it too much. But The Book of Clarence was actually really good. I love the satire that it creates, and I love just using the new modern type of comedy in this sort of period. I think created a really unique story. Bad Boys 4, aka Bad Boys Ride or Die, was another film I saw in the theaters, and this movie is so good. This is really good. Now, I don't want to talk bad about Bad Boys 3, but Bad Boys 4 was really like the reboot that I think we were all looking for. Bad Boys 4 was so good. It gives you the same feel of the original ones. It gives you a new take. It gives you the characters actually aging and getting older and progressing, making some progress in their storylines. But yeah, Bad Boys 4 is so good. It is the best Bad Boys film since the original ones. And it is I don't know if this is going to be the end or anything, but it is a really good way to kind of cap off that series. Civil War. I finally got to watch Civil War this year. This was a very contested, very hotly debated film premise, as it is about a civil war breaking out, a modern civil war breaking out in the country. It's very, it can be divisive, but honestly, I was surprised at how just kind of normal the film was. It wasn't as divisive and racy, and it really wasn't that provocative as I thought it would be. It's really just an interesting political thriller type of thing where it's action packed. Is you're dealing with an active war zone, so you're seeing some of that like take place and what that would look like, how that would divide the country, and how people would have to deal with that in real time. But it was a pretty normal movie at the end of the day. Nothing memorable too. Like, it wasn't the best or the worst of the year. It was just another movie of the year. But then I saw a movie called I Saw the TV Glow. And to this day, I have not been able to shake the visuals and the sound design and the writing and the just sheer vibe that this movie gave me. This is my favorite movie of the year. I Saw the TV Glow. And I gotta rewatch it because it's inexplicable the vibe that I got, the aesthetic that I got from this film, and how it captured me. I Saw the TV Glow is so effing good. I could watch it again 100 more times. They could do like an extended 3-hour cut and I will watch that whole movie. This is one that just had me completely gripped and did not let go. To this day, this movie did not let go. Then there was Monkey Man. Monkey Man was supposed to stream on Netflix originally, but then it got picked up by Jordan Peele for a theatrical release. This is an action film. Dev Patel is the star, and this is really good. Monkey Man is just straight up like raw action, John Wick style. There is a very good story underlying it, but if you just want some crazy active action scenes, then you would go in for it as well. He's not, even though I said the movie is like John Wick, the character is actually just a very normal guy. So it is one of those ones where he does get hurt a lot. He does put himself out there a lot. He doesn't have any sort of powers or anything. It is really just him out there taking on the world's problems with his bare hands. Monkey Man was really good. Then there was the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This was a fun, like historical fiction style John from Guy Ritchie, who created I think it's Guy Ritchie. Holy fuck. Who created the Kingsman movies, which it kind of is like Kingsman, but it has a little bit more of that historical accuracy, I guess. It's based on a real story, but it kind of gives you a fun spy style action film at the same time. It's a bit like maybe like a little bit of 007, a little bit of Kingsman, but it gives you a nice historical story at the same time that takes place during World War II. And it's really good. Trap from M. Night Shyamalan. I want to talk about this movie to so many people, but I don't know many people who have seen it. The premise of this movie captured my attention when I first saw it. It's about a serial killer who gets trapped in a concert, and basically the entire concert is a trap to catch this killer. Insane premise. It honestly doesn't make any sense when you start to think about it, but go ahead and watch it and you'll find out it makes even less sense when you go to watch it. The entire first, like in the beginning, it's stupid, but it's fun, and then in the end, it's just stupid. But Trap, it's a fun watch, I guess. It just doesn't make a single lick of sense. There was Maxine, which is the third movie in the X trilogy, from Ty West, and Maxine is actually my favorite in the trilogy, which I think is rare that you get a trilogy and the third movie is the best. But I really did like Maxine. I would say maybe it goes in reverse order. I like Maxine the most, then Pearl, and then X the least. But yeah, I think Maxine is really strong just because it's fun to watch. It's technically horror, but it is grounded enough. The Borderlands movie, I did a first and final video about the Borderlands movie, so you can check out my thoughts. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it wasn't good either. That's what I like to say. Blink Twice was a thriller movie that I checked out. Very interesting premise. This was one that really kept me engaged because I wanted to know what the hell was going on. And then once you find out, it's like, oh, yikes. It's kind of yikes as far as the premise, but it is an interesting watch. So now we're getting into like my spooky season Halloween horror movie watches. And I watched the movie Cuckoo, the horror movie. This one was really good. This is another one that was just like very interesting. I had no idea where they were going to take the story, and where they went with it was very surprising. See No Evil. This one, I would kind of consider this more thriller than horror, but I guess you could also consider it horror. Another one that I saw the premise for, and I was just very interested in where they were going to take it, and then I had to figure out where they were going to take it. It's a fun watch, but it's not the best horror movie. The Deliverance is Lee Daniels' horror film on Netflix, and this one was actually really good. I actually really liked this. I was skeptical at first about Lee Daniels making a horror film, but then once I saw it, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I mean, the horror elements of it are really good. It's gripping. It's dark. I thought that The Deliverance was pretty good. Alien Romulus, one of my favorite horror movies of the spooky season. While, it's an alien movie, so I kind of already know what to expect. You know the villain or the horror character they're writing from, the monster of the creature feature is the alien, the xenomorph. But this was a really good one, and honestly, one of my favorite alien movies in a long time. Salem's Lot. This is a Stephen King horror film. It was streaming on HBO Max, and this one was fun. This one's about vampires, actually, and a really good take. It is dark, but at the same time, it has some lighter tones. Like, there is a kid who's basically the savior in this horror film. But it was a fun watch. It was a really good one. Also, I watched Scream 1, 2, and 3. I talked more about them on Twitter, but they're actually really good. I see why people love the Scream movies. I watched them before Ghostface came to Mortal Kombat, so I could get, I could know what I'm talking about. I could get all the references when they came out. And yeah, I like Scream. I think Scream 1 through 3 is really good. Obviously, there are more films. I think they're up to 6 or something at this point. So eventually, I'll get into the other Scream movies. But the original trilogy of Scream movies still holds up, in my opinion. Then there was Beetlejuice. Not really horror or anything, but it is spooky season-esque. I didn't like Beetlejuice as much as the original at all. It wasn't bad, but watching it, I didn't see why they had to make it. I think they could have just kind of rid on the original Beetlejuice, because it's going to be really hard to top that. And they didn't really get close to topping it in this new sequel. Mr. Crockett was a very interesting take on a horror movie. It deals with those VHS kids tapes, but it gives it a dark, seedy, horror style twist to it. Mr. Crockett was actually really good. Hulu original and very unique, and that's one that's going to definitely be worth checking out. Transformers 1, the new Transformers animated series, is actually really good. One of the strongest Transformers films in a really long time. I love the origin story that they made for Optimus Prime and for Megatron, and how they crafted into just a new original take on Transformers. Megalopolis is the worst movie I watched this year. I'll just say that. This is a Francis Ford Coppola original story, and he could have kept that, John. I'm going to be completely honest. Red One, this is a new action Christmas movie that came out around, it's on Amazon Prime streaming currently. And I checked it out with my family for Christmas because, it was Christmas. And this movie is based on Christmas. It was actually fun. It was a fun watch. It was better than I expected it to be. Doesn't mean it was good or anything, but it wasn't bad either. It was just a fun watch, middle of the road, fun romp. 6888, this is a historical movie made by Tyler Perry, streaming on Netflix, and is about a all-black women's unit in the army during World War II who actually got deployed to Europe to help with a special mission. And this was actually really good. This movie was really fun. I love the story that it was about. I love learning more about these characters and their involvement in World War II and what they did to help. It was a fun story. I actually liked it. I really enjoyed it. Don't regret watching it at all. Y2K. This is a kind of horror film. I wouldn't really say it was horror film because it's actually a really fun movie. It starts off kind of like one of those raunchy comedies like Superbad, but then it does have a dark horror-esque twist in the end where it's basically based on if Y2K was real and the machines did turn on humans and try to kill them all. And yeah, it was a fun one. It was a fun teen comedy, but with an interesting premise and an interesting twist. Heretic was another horror film. Another one that I saw the trailer for in theaters and was like, oh, I need to see where this goes. I'm actually really interested. So I checked out The Heretic, and it was interesting. It was very dark. It got weirder and weirder as time went on. But not the best horror movie I watched this year, but not the worst one either. Carry On was another Christmas movie, but this is like a Christmas action film. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but Taron Egerton plays a TSA worker while someone is trying to smuggle a a weapon of mass destruction through TSA, and they basically use him to try to get that weapon on board an airplane. It's fun, it's interesting, it's very campy, and sometimes it can be very goofy, but not bad. Goofy, but not bad. I actually honestly liked that it was goofy at times. It made it more fun to watch. And then finally, the final film that I watched in 2024, I actually just finished this one. I actually was watching this movie when it passed over midnight and turned into 2025. But I watched the film Honora. This is a very interesting movie about a girl named Honora who marries a very well-off Russian boy, and his parents want to annul the marriage immediately, so they basically go on this like adventure trying to find them and bring them together and take them to Las Vegas so they can annul the marriage, so that she doesn't get any of the money that his family owns and get access to any of their sort of empire. I don't even remember what they did for work, but we just know that they make a lot of money. And Honora was fun. It was fun. It wasn't like a great, like, it wasn't a crazy movie to end the year off or anything, but it was a fun watch. And with that only took me 2 hours, but that is everything that I watched in 2024. And I'm going to give you guys like my favorites and least favorites, even though as I was talking about them, I kind of already went over it. So let's start with my least favorite. My least favorite show of 2024 will probably have to be the Halo series. While I said the Halo Season 2 was better than Season 1, doesn't mean it was good, because it was bad. And then my least favorite movie of 2024 is going to have to be Megalopolis. And now this was a kind of contested category because there were a couple movies in this category that sucked. Borderlands, Trap. I think those are like the top 3 worst movies of the year. Borderlands, Trap, and Megalopolis, but Megalopolis was the worst. I don't know why they made that movie. I'm gonna be completely honest. And Francis Ford Coppola said that like he tried to get this movie made a bunch of times and they told him no, and he had to put a bunch of his own money into making it. He should have kept that thing, dog. He should have listened, because that joint was not worth it. But yeah, Megalopolis, worst movie of the year. I don't know why they made that thing. And then my favorites of the year, favorite show of the year is Arcane. Arcane Season 2 is so effing good. It's so good because there are a lot of really good shows this year, and Arcane Season 2 still somehow tops them. Don Don was really good. Delicious in Dungeon was really good. Vince Staples Show was good. The Fallout series was really good. The Boys had an amazing season. Industry was so good this year. Kevin can fucking help. The Penguin is also one of my favorite shows of the year, but somehow Arcane Season 2 just stands above them all in my opinion. It's really good. It's amazing. It's amazingly good. Arcane Season 2 was really good. And if you want to see more, my detailed thoughts about it, then check out the Arcane first and final video from November of last year. And then my favorite film of the entire year is going to have to be I Saw the TV Glow. And this is another one where there were a lot of really good movies this year. I really enjoyed Love Lies Bleeding. I really enjoyed Alien Romulus. American Fiction was amazing. Poor Things was amazing. But somehow I Saw the TV Glow was just so good. And I'm hoping to see it in a lot of the awards considerations for next year. I already saw some talks about it, and apparently it is in the category of horror film. I had no idea it was a horror film when I checked it out. I can get why, there are some elements of horror in there, and I can see why. But for me, I just thought it was an amazing film. I Saw the TV Glow was the best film that I watched all 2024, and I'm actually going to rewatch it like as soon as I can. Maybe after I upload this video, I'm going to go ahead and rewatch I Saw the TV Glow, because I have been missing that vibe that you get from it. That honestly is, I haven't been able to, like, it's a vibe that you just can't get anywhere else. I've watched a bunch of movies all year. I'm going to continue to watch a bunch of movies, and the vibe of I Saw the TV Glow is just unmatched. Aesthetically, sound design, like I said, the music in it, everything comes together to make such a really strong film, and that's why it is my favorite of the year. So yeah, there's that. Should I do I think my favorite in the Marvel versus DC category, it is actually really hard. But I think I'm going to go with the Penguin. But Batman the Cape Crusader is really good. Agatha All Along is really good. Echo was also really good, and X-Men 97 was really good. So Marvel and DC both have really strong entries this year, so I'm excited to see what we get next year. And consider this, Marvel only had one feature film in 2024, and that was Deadpool and Wolverine, which was also really good. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be firing on next year when they have a bunch of feature films slated. They've already got Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts. We're supposed to get Daredevil Born Again in 2025. So I think that, I just hope that Marvel and DC continue to have really good years in 2025. But I think that's it. But that was 2024 in a list, in short. It was really long. And honestly, as the time goes on, these lists will probably get longer and longer because I just watch more and more stuff. But I'm excited that I'm finally done with this list, and that I can start to move on to the next list, because the next list is like, it's already underway. I know a bunch of the games that I'm going to be playing in 2025, and I've already started playing Indiana Jones. I got Assassin's Creed Mirage. I'm playing the DLC for Borderlands 3 so I can get ready for Borderlands 4, which I'll also be playing in 2025. But then there's also all the TV shows, movies that are yet to come that I am very excited for. So that is going to be it for this one. And the most important part is, boom, guys, do me a favor and hit me with the 3-hit combo. Smash the like button like Ryu, spare the subscribe button like Scorpion, and kick the notification bell like Kazuya. Because, like I said, I'm trying to hit my subscriber goal of 1,000 this year in 2025, and I can only do that with you guys' help, so please do help out. But we're looking forward to a lot of new videos in 2025, more first and finals, more fashion reactions, more new main alerts, more new game alerts, maybe some new shows, maybe some new type of segments, more live streams coming soon. Mortal Kombat 1 Pro Competition is starting up soon, so we'll be doing a lot of Pro Comp live streams, and yeah, we got the newest Capcom World Tour or Capcom Cup coming up. So that is a lot. There's a lot to look forward to on the channel. You can look forward to another year full of videos, with at least one video every single week in 2024, like I've been doing for like the past 5 years now, which is insane to say, but that is kind of what it's been. So that is going to be it for this one, you guys. Let me know how you feel. What was your favorite thing and least favorite thing of 2024? What was your favorite show, favorite movie, all of that, favorite video game, whatever. And I will see you guys next time in another new one. Peace out. It gives you a Mega Man origin story, and it gives you one that's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic than you would expect, but still gives you everything you want from Mega Man. It has really high stakes, and it gives you just enough to make you want more of a show. Yes, it could have been longer, it should have been longer, but I refrain from actually using that as a complaint, because